For most of us, our entire careers are spent chasing one thing, a bigger salary. We're sort of taught that if we can just hit that magical six-figure number or land that next big promotion, we'll finally be wealthy. But what if that whole idea is just wrong? What if the very thing we're all chasing is only a tiny piece of the puzzle?
So, let's just throw a number out there that sounds like a dream to a lot of people. $200,000 a year. That's an incredible income, right? And yet, we're seeing this trend where more and more people with salaries just like this, or even higher, are still somehow living paycheck to paycheck, completely trapped.
Well, here's the thing they don't really teach you in school. Your salary is only about 25% of the actual wealth equation. And by focusing so hard on just that one slice, we end up completely ignoring the other 75%, the parts of the machine that actually build lasting financial freedom. So what on earth makes up that other 75%?
And this all leads to this weird modern paradox, the six-figure broke person. I mean, it sounds totally impossible, doesn't it? But it's a real thing, and it's born from a fundamental misunderstanding of how wealth actually works. Today, we're going to fix that. We are going to break down the formula for getting rich.
So here's the game plan. We're going to start by totally busting that high earner myth. Then we'll dive right into something called the Algebra of Wealth. After that, we'll break down the 4 key variables one by one. That's focus, stoicism, investments, and last but not least, the most powerful one of all, time.
All right, let's get into the strategy. We're going to be using a framework from a book called The Algebra of Wealth by professor and entrepreneur Scott Galloway. His whole argument is pretty simple, actually. Wealth isn't magic, and it's not just luck, it's a formula. And just like any formula, once you understand the variables, you can start to solve for the outcome you want.
And here it is. This is the central equation for everything we're talking about today. Wealth equals your focus times the sum of your stoicism and your investment, all of that multiplied by time. It looks pretty elegant and kind of simple, but trust me, the implications are absolutely massive. Let's really dig into what this means. Okay, now look closely at that formula. What's the one word you'd expect to see there that's missing? Salary, right? It's not its own variable, it's just one piece of that first component, focus. And this is the critical insight. If you pour all your energy into just your paycheck, you are literally ignoring 3/4 of the machine. True financial freedom comes from mastering all 4 parts of this equation.
All right, let's start breaking this thing down, starting with the very first variable, focus. This is all about realizing that just working hard isn't enough. It's about where you aim all that hard work.
Galloway defines focus as your career choice, but more specifically, the industry that you're in. Think of it like this. These days, hard work is pretty much a commodity. I mean, everyone is working hard. The real wealth comes from putting yourself in a high-growth industry with strong tailwinds. Think about sectors like AI or renewable energy or biotech. It's way better to be just an average performer in a fantastic, growing industry than to be an absolute genius in a dying one. Your focus is what generates the raw material, your income, that feeds this entire formula. Okay, so you've used focus to bring in the income. Now we get to the part that trips up so many people. The second variable, stoicism. And put simply, this is all about creating a big, meaningful gap between what you earn and what you spend. At the end of the day, your savings rate is way more important than your earning rate. I mean, think about it. If you make $200,000 a year, but you spend $195,000 trying to maintain an image, the fancy car, the expensive apartment, you are failing the math. That's the path of the status spender. The Stoic saver, on the other hand, gets that true wealth is the money you don't spend. It's all about decoupling your self-worth from your stuff and just ignoring that social pressure to constantly upgrade your life.
Okay, so you've used focus to make the money, and you've used stoicism to actually keep it. So what's next? You can't just let that pile of cash sit in a bank account. And that brings us to our third absolutely crucial variable, investments.
The goal here is really simple. You have to turn your labor into capital. Leaving your savings in a bank account is a guaranteed way to lose money to inflation. You have to put those dollars to work in assets that generate returns while you're sleeping, whether that's low-cost index funds or rental properties or other assets that grow in value over time. Capital earns at a much higher rate and is taxed way more favorably than your labor ever will.
And that brings us to the final, and honestly the most powerful variable in this entire equation. The one great multiplier that you absolutely cannot buy or replace. Time.
There's a reason they call compounding interest the 8th wonder of the world. It's what you'd call a backloaded miracle. For the first 5, maybe even 10 years, the growth can feel painfully slow. It's so easy to get discouraged. But the real magic happens in those later years, when your money starts making more money than you do from your job. This is exactly why you can't afford to wait for the perfect time to start investing.
I mean, this quote says it all. Time is the only variable in the entire formula that's finite. Once it's gone, it is gone forever. Every single day you wait to put your money to work is a day you've permanently lost to the power of compounding. The rest of the formula just collapses without it.
So now that we kind of get the algebra, it's time to turn the lens back on ourselves. If you aren't where you want to be financially, it's probably not about luck or fate. It's just about math. One of these variables is likely holding you back. So which one is it for you?
Okay, let's do a quick, honest self-assessment. First up, focus. Are you in a shrinking industry? Are you constantly fighting just to stay afloat? Second, stoicism. Does every single raise you get just seem to vanish into a more expensive lifestyle? Next, investment. Is all your hard-earned savings just sitting idle in a bank, getting eaten alive by inflation? And finally, time. Are you waiting for someday to start? Telling yourself you'll invest when the market is just right or when you finally have enough money? Here's the bottom line. Wealth isn't some big mystery, it's algebra. You can keep just working for a paycheck, or you can decide to take control of the variables and start making this powerful formula work for you, not against you. The choice is really yours.
Hey, if you found this explainer helpful, do us a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe share it with someone who needs to see this. Your engagement really helps us create more content that breaks down the path to financial freedom.
And I've got a question for you. Which part of Galloway's formula, is it focus, stoicism, investment, or time, is your biggest challenge right now? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Sharing our struggles is really the first step to solving them. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.